We would like to begin by acknowledging the land in which we gather and on which the region of Peel and City of Toronto operates, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous people inhabited and cared for this land and continue to do so today. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwa Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently, the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants.
Thank you so much for joining us for one of my favorite events of the PLASP calendar, the PLASP Annual Parent Meeting. I'm Lynn Heber, CEO of PLASP Childcare Services, and we have an exciting night planned for you. PLASP has been providing families with high-quality early learning and childcare programs for 47 years. And I want to take this opportunity to thank families for continuing to use PLASP services. Childcare is an essential service, and PLASP continues to work to shape public perception and government policy as part of our commitment to ensuring that it gets the recognition that it deserves. In October of 2022, PLASP joined the Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare System, or CWELC as we call it, and we immediately began to reduce fees for families. Under CWELC, families with children under 6 enrolled in childcare centres and in kindergarten programs are expected to receive access to high-quality childcare programming for an average of $10 per day by 2025. We continue to work on our commitment to living our core values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are guided by our strategy to lead, which stands for learn, educate, act, and demonstrate, and have developed our DEI vision with 5 key strategic goals. We are also excited to share with you PLASP's updated strategic plan. With feedback from our staff, parents, volunteers, and students on placement, we were able to set new goals for the next 3 years. Our vision, mission, and priorities remain the same as we continue to focus on the priorities of people, partnerships, programs, and resources. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our featured presenters from Hands-On Exotics. Throughout the past decade, Hands-On Exotics has provided animal education, including raising awareness about conservation and responsible pet ownership, as well as animal-assisted therapy and more. Without further delay, please welcome Hands-On Exotics.
Hi guys, so happy to be here. My name is Karina from Hands-On Exotics, and today I brought a whole bunch of super cool animals for us to have a look at, nice and up close, and hopefully learn some cool facts about them as well. Now, what we're going to do, because I do want to be able to answer some of our burning questions as we go along, I think that you guys should type your questions in the chat, and then Kathy is going to relay some of the probably repeat questions back to me so that as we go along and meet each animal, I can answer those questions. So without further ado, I'm going to get out our first friend who's actually right beside me here. Her name is Buttercup, and she's obviously terrifying. Buttercup is actually a dwarf lionhead rabbit. So I'm going to try to get her nice and close. She's not camera shy. As you can see, she's actually sniffing that camera right there. But Buttercup has some cool long hair around her head, and that is similar to a lion's mane. That is not a haircut. That is just how the hair on her cute little head grows. And you guys can see how her little nose is going the whole time. Bunnies have to be really aware of what's going on around them at all times, since there are a lot of predators of rabbits. So they have really good sense of smell, and they're always using it. Excuse the excited bird in the back. We will meet him soon. But you can also see her very large ears and large eyeballs. Rabbits actually have almost 360-degree peripheral vision, which is wild. Ours is about half of that. So these guys are very difficult to sneak up on. And now, because she's doing such a good job, I'm going to give her a little snack. She does like Cheerios. Let's see if she would like that. There we go. She's taking it. Can you hear a crunch? Some ASMR? Maybe a little bit, maybe not. But they're super cute. They come in all different shapes and sizes, bunnies, and they're really smart. So if any of you in the audience have one as a pet, you'll know how smart they are. They can even learn their own name, and they can learn to use a litter box. How many tricks do we think that this bunny can do? It's a trick question. None. But she sits in the basket, super cute, right? So we like her a lot. All right, you guys, I'm going to put Buttercup away and introduce actually a friend of hers. So give me 1 second. Okay, I'm going to hold this one, I think. Okay, here's our next friend. Back up. Oh, she's super bright. The camera's having a hard time focusing in on her. This is not a killer bunny, despite her super cute ruby eyes. She's albino. How do we include our friends who are not at all comfortable around animals? I'm not entirely sure how to accommodate that. Do you want me to stay a little bit more back? So maybe not approaching the camera so much, because I can totally do that. And as you can see, Betty White is also super chill. So albino animals, they will have no pigment, right? They can't produce the normal pigments that would be responsible for different eye, fur, and skin colors. So for this albino rabbit, you can see she has snow white fur and her red eyes, and she is a sweetheart. So this happens to be perhaps a great introductory animal for those of us who are not as comfortable. Now, her vision is a little bit affected because of her albinism, so it is good that she lives with us to get that extra care. And yeah, that is Betty White, everybody. Now, feel free, if you guys do have questions coming in, you can keep asking them. You don't have to get the questions in before I put the animal away. We can just keep them coming as we go. So I have a lot of animals to show you guys today, so I'm going to put Betty White away. I won't go super close, but there you go. She's actually also a lion head. She's super cute. Oh, what is my favorite animal? That is the toughest question, guys. I do really like my snakes and spiders, which maybe I brought one of those out for you guys, but we'll get to that later. But Betty White is also definitely a favorite. All right, we're going to say bye, Betty White, even though I can't see you. Okay. Now for our next friend, guys, we have somebody very different. This animal comes all the way from Australia. Not literally, he doesn't need a visa, he was born here. But this type of animal is the handsome Sriracha. Give it a second to adjust. Hopefully, it's like I'm doing a little makeup swatch here. This is Sriracha, the bearded dragon. Oh, Hudson would like to know how Buttercup got her name. Buttercup was our first bunny. Actually, because we got a surprise trio of female girl bunnies, and they all looked very similar. They're all got that nice black fur, all dwarf lion heads, and so we named them Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles. I don't know if anybody still watches the Powerpuff Girls, but that was the idea behind that. Great question, Hudson. All right, so this is our lovely Sriracha, and as the name suggests, they do have a super spiky beard. Does it help if I go a little closer to adjust? Maybe, sort of. Let me sit like this for a second, perhaps. Okay, that seems to help. All right, sorry guys, there we go. All right, so these guys are super cool. They are built to withstand really high temperatures in the sun and to withstand living in the desert. They live in a very dry part of the world, like inland Australia, which is wildly hot and dry. And you can even see how that bumpy, rough skin would help them blend into such an environment. Now, these guys don't just eat live bugs like crickets and flies and whatever they can get their mouth around, but they actually need lots of fresh vegetables, fruits, and leafy greens. So, like a salad plus some crickets instead of croutons for their meal. Yummy. Feel free to try the recipe. Now, you guys can see his super long tail. I don't know if we have any reptile fans in the house or lizard fans in the house, but some lizards can drop their tails when they're in danger so that they can get away from predators. And they have muscles in their tails that keep them moving even after they dropped off, so that distracts the predator. They go after that and the lizard can run away. Now, technically, bearded dragons don't do that, but still, it's a super cool adaptation. What kind of things does Sriracha do? Sriracha, actually, that's a great question because bearded dragons tend not to do a lot. They are usually quite chill, even though this guy is wanting to run around a little bit, maybe getting closer to the light over there. But his top activities include sitting around, getting some sunshine, warming up on your hands to get some belly heat, and of course, eating. Like we talked about, he loves his cricket salads. And I don't know if you guys can see these holes on the side of his head there. Those are his ear holes. So he can hear what we're saying. So always say nice things to bearded dragons because they can hear you. Another question. How big will he get? This is full size. And I think quite sizable, right? He's a robust individual. He's not skipping his meals, that's for sure. But, he's very, very healthy. I don't mean he's like fat or anything. He's looking at me already like, don't you insult me. But yeah, that's basically it. And the males tend to be a little bit bigger with bigger heads as well. So you can see he's got a nice, wide, handsome head. The lady bearded dragons like that. And yeah, you can even see some spikes on the side of his tummy here. And you can safely touch those. They will not hurt your hands. It's not like a porcupine or anything like that, or a cactus. It's just actually looks worse than it actually is to scare away predators. Now, these guys do not change color like some other lizards, like the chameleon, but they can change the color of their beard. So it's kind of hard to see when he's wiggling. But his beard right now is a bright orangey cream color, and that's basically as light as it gets. So that means he's actually feeling comfortable, content. He's just kind of exploring and having a good time. He can turn that beard almost black, like my shirt, when he's upset. And another question, how old is Sriracha? He's about 7 years old. I wonder if any of you guys are 7 years old. But these guys can live well over 15, maybe even 20 years if you're lucky. So remember, guys, it is a commitment. All right, without further ado, I'm going to put Sriracha away and get out another friend for us so that we can keep moving along. And I think you guys are really going to like our next one because we have, her name is a hint. Her name is Shelly. So who could that be? Hey, buddy. All right, you guys ready? Here she comes. And here is the beautiful Shelly. Shelly is not a turtle. Shelly is a tortoise. I wonder if anybody said that out loud at home. Maybe. But she's a tortoise, which means that she cannot swim. So turtles are the ones that can swim, and they spend a whole lot of their time in the water. And tortoises are the guys that live on land. Now, she doesn't have the flippers, the equipment to be able to go to a pool party successfully, but she does really well on the land. She has big, strong legs with nice, strong nails that help her grip the ground and dig. And believe it or not, Shelly is about 16 years old, which is not old, right, guys? Some tortoises can live to be 200 years old. So she's a baby. To be fair, she's not going to get that much bigger. She is called an elongated tortoise, so they're a small species, but there are some very big species of tortoise. And I may have brought one with us today. So I'm going to put Shelly down and show you her. Now this one, I'm going to have to get this chair out of here because she's a big girl. But this one's super cool. You can think of this as Shelly's bigger cousin, just a little bit bigger. Okay, so check this out. Let's wait for that lighting. That looks pretty good-ish. This is Quincy. So I hope everybody says hi, Quincy, with me. Say hi, Quincy. She is about 35 years old, which is still young, kids, please remember. And she is called a sulcata tortoise. Now, sulcata tortoises, they come from Central Africa, like the central kind of band running right across the hottest central part of Africa. So she also likes it very hot and dry, like Sriracha, the bearded dragon, but from like the kind of an African version of that environment. So very hot and dry. Now you can see on her legs, they are covered in these kind of growths. They almost look like giant scales, right? Those are called spurs, and those give her extra armor and protection. I have another question here. I know we can communicate with mammals, but can we do the same with reptiles? Yes, I would say there are many, sorry, she's heavy. I would say there are many ways that we can communicate with our reptile friends. Now, they may not act like a dog or a cat or other mammal, but if you know how to read their body language, absolutely. For example, Quincy here, they can learn their name, it seems like, and they absolutely learn to feel comfortable around their caregivers. And you'll know that your pet tortoise likes you when you see them following you around. So sometimes I notice when I am cleaning up Quincy's big old pen that she will be around my feet the whole time. Maybe she's just looking for food, but still. How much does Quincy weigh? Good question. Is it, you're asking because I'm out of breath? She weighs about 60 pounds. So she is a heavy girl. Here, let me show you this way. Big girl, about 60 pounds. These tortoises are the third largest in the world. They can get about 180 to 200 pounds. So Quincy is considered a smaller one, which is wild. All right, I'm gonna put Quincy down. You got, actually, let's have a look at her shell real quick. You guys can see those rings on there. Those are growth rings. So they never change their shell. They have the same shell their entire life, and they get more and more rings the older they get, which is super cool. All right, we're gonna say bye to our friend Quincy. Woo, girl, getting big. Now, what's kind of cool about Quincy, she's actually a vegetarian. So she doesn't eat any meat, which is a little bit unusual because a lot of tortoises will eat a little bit of meat, but she gets that size. She's the third largest tortoise in the world, and she just eats all vegetables, grasses, hay, and actually a lot of romaine lettuce, which is an expensive habit nowadays. Okay, you guys. Well, without further ado, I'm going to introduce you guys. Whoa, wait. Another question. What does Quincy's shell do? Well, Quincy's shell is armor. It's protection. So it helps keep her nice and safe. And when a tortoise is Quincy's size, certainly Quincy's size, but once they're about like this-ish big, very little can mess with them and eat them because their shell is so hard. It's like a rock. It's actually made out of the same stuff that our fingernails and our hair is made out of. It's just lots and lots of layers, so it's much harder than our nails or hair. But yeah, it's protection. And does she hide inside? She certainly can. She doesn't like go inside out, you know what I mean? But she certainly tucks in. Her head goes all the way back, and she puts those arms up like this, and she's completely protected, especially with those extra spurs, the armor on her arm. So yeah, at this size, you'd pretty well have to have like a massive crocodile to be able to mess with her, but she doesn't have to worry about that. All right, you guys, I'm gonna get out our first bird. Hope you guys like birds. This is a super cool one. Also an African animal. This one is more like East Africa. But wait till you see this bird. She's super cool. Are you ready? Step up. Step up. Good job. Good girl. All right, step up like this. Good job. All right, you guys. And step. Here she is. This is Maggie. Oh, and Maggie is a silvery cheeked hornbill. And you guys can see that huge beak of hers. Get her in the frame. Oh, there we go. So Maggie here is only about 20 years old. These birds can live well over 50 years. Oh, quick question. Could you ride on a tortoise? You could if it was a huge, huge tortoise, like 500, 600 pounds. Quincy, I would never suggest riding on. One second, you guys. We're a little excited back here. Samson, baby. All right. Now, Maggie is a super cool bird, not just because of how friendly and lovely she is, but she has this massive beak on her head that is actually quite hollow in there. So you can see this is her actual beak, and she has a special growth on the top. And that not only helps her be very, very loud because it kind of makes the sound louder. It's like a resonance chamber. But it allows this bird to eat animals that most other birds wouldn't be able to eat, like venomous snakes. So this huge growth here allows her to grab things, and that venomous snake could bite her beak. It's just keratin, or like the tortoise's shell, and she won't get hurt. So she'll be perfectly fine. Now Maggie here, in addition to eating, let me try to throw it. Oh, good. In addition to eating snakes, don't beat me, girl. She does that to show you that she's your friend, which is very kind. But she likes to eat fruits like grapes, blueberries, banana, apple, all kinds of stuff. She hates carrots, though. But yeah, she's an omnivore, and she will even eat other birds as well. Let's get another toss in there. Good job. You can see she has no problem catching her food out of the air at all, because also one of the things she eats are flying insects. Another question, what does she use her beak for? It's big. Oh yeah, you got that right. It is huge. Let's bring her a little closer, shall we? Come here, honey. Come here, honey, stop. Good job. So she uses her beak not only to look beautiful, but it helps her be extra loud in the jungles and forests where she comes from. And it allows her to stay protected from getting bitten by some of the food she eats, like venomous snakes and things like that. Help keep her safe. Now, it might be a little tough to see, but Maggie has some really long, beautiful eyelashes. I don't know if you can see that. Bring back a little bit. But those very long eyelashes help keep her eyes safe from debris, dust, and harsh sunlight. But not just for beauty pageants. And she's called a silvery-cheeked hornbill. Silvery-cheeked hornbill because of her beautiful cheek feathers, right? And these guys are super social. They totally bond with humans. And if they get a friend in their adult life, they tend to stick with said friend for forever, basically. You can see she's getting a little bit shaky. This is a sign of excitement. She is really excited to be out and getting love and getting grapes. And why don't we give her one more little grape here, guys, for doing such a good job. You can see her eat it up close. And guys, did she chew her food? She did not. I would not recommend doing that at home, but that is how these birds eat. They don't have any teeth or anything to really tear their food. They just kind of throw it back, right? All right, great job, guys. We're going to say goodbye to our friend Maggie, right? Come here, sweetheart. Step up. Oh my goodness, good job. Yeah, you can see her little bird butt too. Oh yeah, and these feathers here, it's not really black. They're super, super dark green, but it's hard to see unless she's in the bright sunlight. Oh, how loud can she be? She can be almost deafening, not as loud as our friend back there, which you guys can probably hear screaming. He's excited. But these guys can make a really loud honking noise. She's not going to do it, but I'll replicate it for her. She goes, right? Yes, she does. And she likes to greet us every morning with that lovely honking. All right, you guys, awesome. Okay, who shall be our next friend? Ooh, here's a good one. Do we have any Sonic fans in the house? I hope so, because our next animal is a super spiky. Wait for it, drum roll. Dun, dun, dun. Hedgehog. And he's awake already, which is very nice because I guess it is nighttime and these guys are nocturnal. So he's kind of waking up, getting ready to party. But in addition to that, this is Quilliam Shatner. Get it? Because he's covered in quills. Quilliam Shatner is extremely social. So he is so used to being around people and coming out and saying hello to lovely guests like you guys that he is not even bothering to curl up in a ball and protect himself, which is what hedgehogs do when they feel nervous, right, guys? And I'll see if I can get him to do it this way. Sort of. Stand up. Sort of. He's so like used to people that he's like, let me go. I want to hang out. All right, well, we tried. Normally, they would curl up in a ball. You wouldn't see their legs. You wouldn't see their face, their tummies, nothing. It would just be a spiky ball like a sea urchin. These guys have over 5,000 spikes, which are called quills. And I don't know if you guys know of any other animal that is covered in quills, like the porcupine. But this is not closely related to the porcupine. And as such, these quills, these spikes, they don't stick in your skin like a porcupine's does. So it's much, much more safe to pat a hedgehog. And as you can see, it doesn't hurt at all. Now, if you were a predator and you were trying to eat a hedgehog in the wild that wasn't as comfy as this guy is, they would roll into a ball, stick up all their spikes like this. And if you tried to eat them, you'd get a mouthful of spikes. It would hurt so bad, you probably wouldn't eat them. Another question, why are they spiky? To protect themselves. Excellent question. That is called their defense mechanism. So their spikes help keep them safe because who would want to eat all those spikes, right? They leave it alone. Also, they kind of have a superpower. If they're really, really upset and scared, they will go into the bushes in the forest. They will go find poisonous plants, poisonous leaves, chew them up in their mouth, mix it with their spit, the poison, and cover their quills in it so that whatever goes to eat them not only gets spiked, but they get poisoned. And these guys are immune to those poisons. So they have adapted to not get hurt by the poisonous plants. Isn't that super cool? Not just a cute face, right? Oh, excellent question. Right on cue. What do they eat? Well, hedgehogs have a very unique, interesting diet. They actually eat insects. They eat bugs. And they will even eat venomous animals like spiders and scorpions, which is super cool. So if you guys don't like those types of animals, this is maybe a good friend for you. How big do they grow? For this species, this is the smallest species in the world. This is an adult. This is like a typical adult size for the African pygmy hedgehog. Pygmy is another word for dwarf or small. But some other species of hedgehogs can be the size of a football, which is pretty big. But this is a good pet species. I also brought some food for him. A worm. Now I'll see if I can get you guys to see him eat it. If he wants to eat it. Do you want a worm or are you just struggling? Let's see, can you eat it? Enjoy? No, we don't want. Okay, well, he doesn't want. Maybe because he's so ready to run around. Now, these guys are not as fast as you might expect. They are more endurance animals, actually, so not quite like Sonic. So if you have a pet hedgehog, you got to make sure that you give them a wheel. And this little guy can run over 5 kilometers in a single night, which is wild. I could too, but I don't. But anyway, pretty impressive for this little guy. All right, guys, we're going to say goodbye to our friend William Shatner. Can we do a little close-up, or are we just being real wiggly? Okay, we're being wiggly. Do you guys want to know what a baby hedgehog is called? I'll tell you, a hoglet. And you can call a group of hedgehogs a prickle. So you can have a prickle of hoglets. If you take anything away, take that away. All right. Let's get you in here. And since he is nocturnal, I always bring him a blanket so he can snuggle up in between and maybe get a little shut-eye, a little nap while he's waiting. All right, awesome. That was great. He was so comfortable. Okay, what are we going to do next? Oh, I have another lizard. Oh, here. Wait, before that, another question. Do they lose their quills? They certainly do lose their quills, kind of like how we shed our hairs, right? When you brush your hair every day, you might find that you have a few more hairs in that brush every day, but not to worry because we grow our hair right back. And the same thing with the hedgehog's quills. So that's super cool. A quill lasts on average a year, and that not only allows them to replace the quills that they may have lost, but it keeps them nice and sharp, right? Because new, fresh, sharp ones grow in. And can they climb trees? Hedgehogs, if the tree was fallen over and you assisted them, then perhaps. But no, they're not great at climbing. But they're great at running and great at eating and great at melting your heart. So whatever. Okay, guys, our next friend is ready. This is Slippery Pete. And Slippery Pete has a long, slithery body, a long, long tail. But what's that? He's got legs. He's not a snake. He is a lizard. He's called a blue-tongued skink. And if we're lucky, maybe we can see his blue tongue, because that's why he's called a blue-tongued skink. Hey, we got it. Amazing. So he has a real blue tongue. It's not from eating too much blue Halloween candy. These guys are called mimics. So that kind of means that he pretends to be a dangerous animal, like a venomous snake or maybe a poisonous frog, when he is not venomous or poisonous himself. So he's a faker, but that keeps him safe. Now, these guys, the family of lizards is called skinks, and there's many different species within that. Some of them have no legs at all. So wouldn't you think, isn't that just a snake? Well, it's not. It's still a lizard, believe it or not. And one of the differences is their head shape. And take a look at the sides of his head there again. What do you see? Those ear holes, right? Snakes don't have those. And of course, the tongue is different, right? It's a pretty flat, wide tongue. Snakes have little forked tongues. And his eyes look different. He has eyelids and can blink, whereas snakes don't. Yeah. So super cool, right? And they also have a really red belly. I'm sure there is a reason. Do I know what it is? No. But I'll work on that. But they are super cute. And you can have these guys as pets. They're very personable. They're smart. But these guys do need both types of food, right? Plants and meat. By meat, I mean like insects. You could feed them insects. Although in the wild, they would even eat things like mice and stuff. But you don't need to when you have them as a pet. But yeah, he loves his worms and things like that. And he's very, very cute. All right, we're going to say goodbye to our friend Slippery Pete. If you guys have questions about him as we move along, go right ahead. No problem at all. Our next friend is going to be, oh, this is a cute one. This one has an accessory. One second, guys. Let me get the accessory ready for this friend. Come here, sweetie. Okay, this truly terrifying. A mouse. Just for the light. Woo! Where are you going, buddy? Come on, camera, adjust. Give me 1 second here, guys. It's still very bright. Okay. Be like this. Maybe move it closer. Maybe we'll just go like this, and hopefully that works. Okay, so this little guy. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Okay, sorry, my camera keeps adjusting. This is called a spiny mouse or a spiny gerbil. It looks a little bit different than the gerbils you may have seen at the store. These ones are very active, as you can see. They are smart and very social, so they like to live in big groups all together. And these guys actually come from the Middle East and Egypt, and they were found feasting on ancient Egyptian mummies at one point. Ooh, right? But they are very what's the word? They are very adaptive, so they can learn to survive in some pretty harsh environments, and they're very resourceful. That's the word I was looking for. And a quick question about the lizard. Does every lizard have a pattern? Not every lizard has a distinct pattern, but every lizard is certainly unique, even from the same species. They might have a similar looking pattern or color, but they'll never be exactly the same, just like people, right, guys? So yeah, these guys are cool also because they have little spiky hairs on their backs. Not quite like a hedgehog, but I don't know if you can see in his quick movement, kind of looks wet, right? He has little spiky guard hairs that helps keep him cool in the desert and can kind of help keep him safe from predators a little bit. And these guys have amazing tissue regeneration ability, which means that they can grow back parts of their body if they are hurt, right? They can grow back their skin, their ears. One of our mice that actually came to us had a missing ear, got bitten off or something, not entirely sure. And it grew back 2 full ears in one spot. So he has 3 ears. Like super cool, right? So that is actually a really important topic in scientific research, is how these animals can do that, how they can regenerate their tissue like that so effectively. All right, these guys really active. These guys are also nocturnal. Okay, we're gonna say goodbye to our friend Cheese. Everybody wave at your camera and say bye, Cheese. Woo, come here, buddy. There you go. To your friends. And for our next friend, we have somebody large and in charge. And I need a special chemical spray to handle her. Just kidding, it's just water. Because our next friend is known as an amphibian. She is a very special type of frog. Does he get sick? All animals can get sick, absolutely. They can get different kinds of sick, just like people. It doesn't mean, though, that, if, like, oftentimes if your pet lizard is sick, usually that's not something they can make you sick with, right? But yes, all animals can get sick. So that's why it's super important if you have any kind of pet to really be careful, keep a close eye on them, make sure that they're acting normal, eating normally, moving normally, etc., to make sure that they're healthy. Okay, you guys, we have a very big girl here. Wonder if anybody guessed what it is by my clue that she's an amphibian. Dun, 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 dun. Where is she? In the light, it's too bright. Give me 1 second. All right, come on, camera. Let's do it. We got to show this big girl off. Her name is Dirty Nancy. There we go. And Dirty Nancy is the biggest type of frog in the world. Oh my goodness, and makes the biggest peas, which is definitely her best party trick. This is an African bullfrog, or also known as a pixie frog. And these guys are super cool. They can get bigger than this, but check this girl out. She is pretty chunky, right? Maybe I can face this a little bit more down. And hopefully she won't peel over my laptop, but we'll see. But she's super cool. Now, Dirty Nancy here, her favorite food are large super worms. So they eat bugs, and this type of frog even eats mice and little mammals. So they are kind of like, I don't like, not in a negative way, but she's kind of like a garbage disposal. Anything she can get in that mouth, she's going to wolf that down and have a good time. So these guys are super cool. They come from Africa, and they need a really nice big home to keep them happy with a nice pool with frog-safe water so they can keep their skin nice and moist. Now, the reason why I had to spray my hands with special frog water is because of that sensitive skin. Look at that there. She's also very active. So because their skin is always wet, it's moist, and it's pretty thin. So they're always absorbing or taking stuff in through their skin. So whatever is on your hands is going to get into their skin if you're not careful. So we want to make sure that we give ourselves a rinse before handling your frog. Now, these guys are a little bit more hardy than most species. So it's like where some species you want to use a glove, this one is okay if you spray your hands and you're clean, right? No moisturizers, no sanitizer. How big can she get? She can get, if we're lucky, about double this size. Dirty Nancy is only about 2 years old, and it takes them a few good years to get up to size, but she can get safely double, which I don't even know what we're going to feed her at that point. Children, just kidding, kids. But yeah, she's super cool. She's flinging some more pee behind her, which is lovely. They kind of do that as a defense mechanism and to get rid of extra body weight. So they are more nimble to hop away. Why are frogs' tongues so long? Well, great question. Some of them are longer than others, but they have a really long, big, sticky tongue to help catch their food. So what is the stereotypical food that you see cartoon frogs eating? Flies, right? And if it's not a fly, it's probably some other pretty fast moving bug. And in order to be able to catch those fast moving bugs, especially the flying ones, you got to have a really fast, long, sticky tongue to grab it, right? Now, Dirty Nancy here is fed from a silver spoon, which means she doesn't have to worry about hunting, which is why she's nice and big and chunky, as you can see. But certainly in the wild, they'd be a little bit more aggressive with grabbing their food. I wonder, we're going to see if she'll eat. She did eat earlier today, but we might as well see if she wants some more, right? You have another bug? She could ignore me, maybe. She has yet to eat on show, but I figure we might as well try, right, guys? Maybe just give it a kiss instead. Okay, there. Great. Okay, you guys, I'm going to put Dirty Nancy back. We still don't want to hold them for too long so that we don't hurt their sensitive skin. But very nice job, Dirty Nancy. She'll get some extra bugs tonight for sure. And then for our next friend, we have an even bigger lizard. And before that, quick question, how does she defend herself? She will use her very strong back legs to run and hop away. And they can also dig very deep into the ground. They kind of shuffle butt first. They go and they dig themselves, bury themselves so they're protected. And these types of frogs have 2 fangs on their bottom jaw. Now, they're not actually teeth. They are literally her jaw. Like her jaw, our jawbone, it comes up twice in 2 big spikes that goes through her mouth. So they are super duper strong fangs, kind of. How many different types of frogs are there? I am not sure. Let me see. There are over 5,000 species of frogs. Definitely didn't just look that up. But yeah, there's so many different types. Tree frogs, bullfrogs, burrowing frogs, toads that live a little bit less time in the water, big frogs, tiny frogs, poison frogs, safe frogs, all kinds, right? And so many different colors. All right, you guys, without further ado, I will introduce you to our biggest lizard in the house. His name is Maui, and he's a very special lizard. Or she is. We just found out she's a she. But it doesn't matter. Come here, sweetie. This is the beautiful Maui, and Maui is a green iguana. Now, she is technically called a blue-green iguana, not a blue iguana, a blue-green iguana, because she has a little extra kind of turquoisey blue color to her skin, which is super cool. And you can get these guys in a few different colors. But yeah, in the wild, they're kind of a more light green to neon green. And they can get bigger than this, believe it or not. They can get like 5 feet long, which is wild. Now I'm going to back up so you can really see the length of her tail. Ready? And you guys see, look at that super long tail. And I can just about let her go. And she hangs on. These guys live way up in the trees, you guys. So they are excellent climbers. They've got really long toes. They're excellent swimmers as well. And they can run pretty darn fast. Now, this is a type of lizard that can drop its tail and grow a new one, which is super cool. Now, Maui's never had to do that, which is good. The regenerated tail will look different from the original, but still super cool, right? And you can see she has these kind of rays here, these spikes, and they are flexible. Look, they just move right out of the way. It's kind of intimidation from predators, and it can help them look bigger to other iguanas and predators. Now have a look at her face here, at her chin, kind of like here, right? Like this, here, where is it? There-ish. Kind of looks like a big spot. Now, we are not 100% certain what that is, but the leading theory, the leading idea is that this is a fake eye spot so that a potential predator, if an animal wants to eat an iguana, they see that fake eye and think that it's looking right at them when they might not be aware at all. So it actually helps keep them safe because it's always like she's watching you, even when they might not be. Now, these lizards do not eat bugs. Green iguanas are vegetarian. So she eats a whole lot of romaine lettuce, kale, vegetables, and fruits. And of course, as a pet lizard, she needs lots of UV light, so special light bulbs that mimic the sun's light to stay healthy. Why does she have spikes? For fashion. I'm just kidding. It helps make her look bigger than she actually is, and can help make other animals not want to eat this animal. Now, what's kind of cool, I just noticed, she's actually got a little bit of skin coming off. That was not, oh my goodness, it's a huge sheet. Look at that. So lizards do shed their skin like snakes. A lot of lizards will shed in sections rather than all at once, unlike a snake. But yeah, that's super cool. You always want to be super careful when you do that. That one was clearly ready to go. But yeah, guys, that is Maui. And she also has this here. I'm trying to show you. This flap of skin is called a dewlap. A dewlap. And you can find dewlaps on, of course, lizards, on some mammals, like some breeds of rabbits have a dewlap. Looks a little bit different, kind of looks like a double chin. But this can help regulate her temperature and is used in communication between iguanas. So they can stick it out like this, make themselves look huge from the side. Oh, she just licked me. And that helps, yeah, their communication in their community, in their iguana community. All right, you guys. And as you can see, Maui is very sweet. She is the most chill iguana I've ever worked with. They can be interesting. They can be very lively. We'll put it that way. How long will her tail get? This is it. It's not going to get any longer than this, which is amazingly long already, right? Yeah. Now, of course, if it was a bigger iguana overall, the tail would be longer as well. But this, she's not going to get much bigger than this. She's like full grown. We think she was a little bit stunted, actually. And you can see that grip there. She's really hanging on. She's got pretty sharp nails, too. So they have no problem climbing up in the trees. And their coloration helps them blend in. All right, you guys. A little close-up, perhaps. A little iguana kiss. Nope. Could climb on the laptop. All right, you guys, want to say goodbye to our friend Maui. Good job, Maui. Okay, and then I think it's time to meet somebody slithery. Ooh, spooky season. So this, where is she over here? This is a super duper cool animal. Oh, another question. Are you scared of any animals? Yes, humans. All right, this friend, we're going to have to wait for this camera to adjust again on this girl. All right, that looks a bit better. This is Snoodles. Oh, another question, did it hurt when her skin came off? It did not, because that skin was ready to go. That piece of skin was already about to fall off. So no. Now, if you start to yank at shedding skin that wasn't ready to come off, yeah, you could certainly hurt your animal. That's why you got to be really careful. But that piece, absolutely not, did not hurt her. And that iguana would tell me if I hurt her. She can whip so hard with her tail. She can bite. She can scratch. She'd probably just try to run out of there. And she didn't. So we know she was good. Okay, this is Snoodles. Snoodles is a leucistic ball python. Not bald, like bald, but ball, like a play ball. Because ball pythons, when they're nervous, they tend to curl up in a ball. Sort of like the hedgehog, but in a more pretzel-y kind of way, I suppose. But yeah, it's kind of a weird behavior for snakes. So they named them after that. These guys come from West Africa, many different countries. And she is not like her wild cousins. She is kind of like a designer snake, right? Because in the wild, if you were bright white like this in a forest or a desert, doesn't matter where you are, save for the snow, which they wouldn't be in anyway, you would have no camouflage. So you would stick out like a sore thumb to your predators, right? So this is a mutation called leucism. She's leucistic. It's kind of like being albino, but it's more extreme because she's missing all of her pigments, because snakes have more than one, unlike mammals. But yeah, so they're super cool. You guys can see her long, flicky tongue, sort of, a little bit, trying to show you. They use their tongue to smell, of course. They kind of taste the air, they smell, and the tongue is shaped like a Y, right? It's like forked. So that can tell them which direction a smell is coming from. How long will she grow? She can get a little bit bigger than this. Let me stretch her out for you guys. But she won't get too much bigger. Ball pythons are not like a big snake by any stretch of the imagination, you know what I mean? Certainly, if you wanted a big python, you could go for a reticulated python or a Burmese python. Not really good pets for most people, but those are the big ones. This is basically it for her. And is she slimy? No, she's not slimy at all. I wish I could get you guys to feel her skin. It is like a silky smooth, that's her belly right there. She's got silky smooth skin, and it is perfectly dry. It's certainly softer than my skin, and with no shea butter. So they're super cool. Now, of course, snakes do eat meat. There are no snakes that are vegetarians, right? So she would eat in the wild mice, rats, any kind of small mammal. Now, if you have them as a pet, 9 times out of 10, you do not have to. You can just feed them already processed ones, and they eat it whole. And they don't need to eat every day. Snoodles here eats once every 2 weeks. That's it, right? Do all albinos have red eyes? Yes, I'm going to say yes on this one. This is not quite an albino. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but without getting into it, yes, all albinos will have red eyes. And that's how you can tell the difference between, for example, with the bunnies, a white bunny and an albino bunny. The white bunny will still have like dark eyes. The albino one will have red ones. And that is because there's no pigment to cover the blood vessels. So the red eyes in albino animals is because of all the little blood vessels underneath. And where do all of your animals live? They actually live here. Not mine, but our work animals. We have a large space with all kinds of cages and pens and aviaries. All right, you guys, I'm going to give you one last close-up with our friend Snoodles here. You can see some holes or pits on her top lip. Those are heat sensing pits. So even when it's pitch black at night, they can kind of see their prey by their body heat, which is like super cool. It's literally a superpower. All right, awesome. We're going to say goodbye to our friend Snoodles. And I have one last surprise. Yeah, we have time. This is our second bird of the day. And he's very excited. He was so excited that we had to give him a timeout in the other room. Give me a second. Are you ready? Come here, sweetie. Are you ready? Are you excited? Ooh, okay. Let's see, are you going to come out? Now this is an extremely smart type of bird. If any of you guys, if we're still watching the movie Rio, this is like Nigel from Rio. I never know what's hip with the kids anymore. But he's super cool. He is our oldest parrot. And would you like to come out and say hi to our friend? Come here, baby. Come here. Good job. Let's say hi to our friends. All right, and what is the largest animal you have? Well, it's hard because the largest, like lengthwise, would be probably a snake, but the largest weight-wise would definitely be Quincy. And this is Samson, everybody. We're going to say hi, Samson. Say hello. Hello. Good job. And say pretty bird. Pretty bird. Good job. And let's do a big bird. No, big bird. Good job. Good boy. Samson here is a sulfur-crested cockatoo. Sulfur is a yellow mineral, for those of you who don't know. I'm sure you guys are super smart. So these guys come from Australia, this family, the cockatoos. And this guy is one of the most common ones that live there. So you would find them all over Australia, which is wild. And Samson, I don't know if you guys want to like guess whoever you're with, like how old he is, but he is, wait for it, 39 years old. Wow, right? And that's not old, right, kids? These guys can live to be well over 80, 90 years, maybe even 100 years old. And they are super duper smart, as you can see. Samson, can we wave to our friend? Ready? Can we wave? Oh, he's giving you guys a wave. Excellent. And we're going to do another hello. Hello. Pretty bird. And let's do another big bird. Good job, buddy. Amazing. I'm going to try actually one more trick. And a question, what animal would be the best pets? It really depends on what animals you like. I think that if you do enough of your research and you can commit to the animal's entire like life, that, you know, you could pretty well have any of these guys. This would be a very challenging one, though. Samson here went through 12 homes before he came to us. And we're in a cool position because we have so many of us to help take care of him. Ready? Don't do that. Can we do bang? Woo, good job. And big bird? All right, amazing. Good boy. Okay, I'm going to put him on his perch. Step up. Oh, he's gone. All right, 1 second, guys. All right, have fun, Samson. And instead, why don't we, for our last minute, get out our snaky again? Because he was cool. But yeah, honestly, like what is on his head, it's called a crest. It's these special long feathers that go like this, right? It's called a crest. and that is used for communication between his flock mates, which of course in the wild would be other cockatoos, but with humans it can be to communicate with humans, with us as well. Oftentimes when they put their crest up, it means they're super duper excited, which is cool. And for our final minute, we can just admire Snoodle some more. And I hope that you guys had fun. I hope that we got our camera issue wasn't too bad for everybody. And I hope that everybody enjoyed looking and learning about all of our animals. And I just want to thank you guys from Hands on Exotics for joining us, and have a really good night. And I'll give you some close-ups to end the session. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I am sure many families and children and staff will be interested to learn more at home and at PLASP about the animals we've met tonight. Thank you all for joining us here this evening. We hope you had fun. Have a great night, and we will see you in our programs and our centers. Take care and good night.